They had successful careers, made it to every corner of the globe, raised beautiful families, but they will forever share an unbreakable bond forged in that bloody October of 1973.
Even after 50 years, the memories are very strong. We felt as if the state of Israel was in danger. There was a question mark about its existence. That is how I see it.
This is the 421st Armored Reserve Brigade. They were the first ones to cross the Suez Canal into Egypt. This tank, now displayed at the Armored Corps Memorial Site, was the first to roll into Africa. Here it is 50 years ago, just about to do it. Its commander knows the brigade changed the course of the Yom Kippur War and possibly even the face of the Middle East.
We were the first ones to cross to the other side. We knew that we had done something special. We also know that we didn't just achieve victory in the war. We also helped bring peace with Egypt, which had been our greatest enemy. 4 years after the war, Egyptian President Sadat came to Israel, and finally there was a major change.
The brigade was victorious on Egyptian soil by the war's end, a complete reversal of the situation just 3 weeks earlier. Just a day before the war broke out, while the intelligence community was ignoring the signs, the commander realized something was happening.
The day before the war broke out, I heard a lecture from a top intelligence officer. It ended with the assumption that since the Arab armies do not have a good response to the Israeli Air Force, there will not be a war in the coming years. I looked at the maps he presented and thought that the IDF must do something in this situation. I wasn't sure there would be a war, but I thought we have to do something. So I called my deputy and told him to tell all the officers in the brigade to stay home next to the phone.
Sure enough, the phones rang the following day as Jews in Israel were marking the somber Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur. The officers of the 421st Brigade were ready, but the rest of the army was not.
We arrived at the IDF ammunition center and found our tanks completely dismantled. The towers of the tanks were in one place because that was where the soldiers were learning about the towers. The lower part was in another place, and the engines were in a third location, because that is where the mechanical school was. And the head of the base told me not to pressure it, because he was told he had 72 hours until the tanks had to be ready.
The Egyptian army did not wait 72 hours, not even 72 seconds. It stormed into Sinai, taking over the entire Israeli contact line. For the first time, the seemingly invincible IDF was facing defeat.
I was a young officer. This was the first real war I was in. Suddenly, you see soldiers dying, soldiers injured. It's scary. For the first time, I realized there was such a thing as soldiers missing in action.
Under constant heavy fire, they reorganized and prepared for their next mission, crossing into Egypt. They were not supposed to be the first ones to enter, since a giant roller bridge was meant to be used by IDF troops to cross the Suez Canal, but the bridge didn't make it on time. The 421st Brigade, with improvised floating bridges, was given the task that most people thought was impossible.
Our mission was doomed to fail, and yet we crossed the Suez Canal with 28 tanks without any assistance. We penetrated deep into enemy territory, eliminated every resistance we encountered, and suddenly became the owners of this place.
It was a display of bravery and camaraderie that remains to this day, half a century later.
Our experiences from the war will remain with us forever. We can meet here and shout at each other about politics, but we are the best friends. Even after 50 years, there is no stronger friendship.
47 soldiers and officers of the 421st Brigade were killed in the Yom Kippur War, and hundreds were injured. It is nothing short of a miracle these men are sitting here today, a very heavy price paid for victory, which eventually led to peace.
And if you want more great content like that from I-24 News, just hit the subscribe button. It's as easy as that.